Now, coming up to that, now we've mentioned quite a few errors and mistakes people might make.
Yeah.
What are the most common, just list of
For,
errors?
for a sponsor license application,
Yes.
so when you're applying for a sponsor license application, there's a set list of documents that you have to provide. Okay.
Hmm.
People generally not include all of them. Okay.
Okay.
And that's immediately the application's refused. So that's the first thing. Make sure you've got all the documents that you need with the application.
Okay.
The other thing that they always ask for, which isn't very clearly listed in the guidance, is a staff hierarchy chart.
Yeah.
So send that through. And the reason you're applying for a license, always explain to them why you're applying for a license. And there's no way to do that online on the form, which
Yeah.
is why
Absolutely.
which is why we generally will include a letter and we will explain all of these things. We will explain why they want the license, who they want to hire, if they've identified somebody, if they haven't identified somebody, why they want the license then, right? So you've got to explain that. So people tend to forget that. Sometimes people forget to pay the right fee. So some large companies, for example, if you've got an organization with 15 or more employees and a turnover of 10.2 million or 5 million in the balance sheet, you've got to pay the higher fee.
Yeah.
Sometimes people forget to pay that. That's an instant rejection. And then previous non-compliance. I once
Okay.
had an application from, again, an overseas entity, a big Turkish conglomerate. They had set up operations in the UK. They have some UK staff. But the person that they nominated to be the authorizing officer had a previous conviction, which he didn't
Okay.
disclose. And obviously, when you're completing the forms, you have to
Mm.
confirm that the authorizing officer does not have any convictions. They list the convictions, but they also have, discretion to refuse you when you don't. There's other convictions. So obviously, they've listed things like murder and all of that stuff. But if you've got like shoplifting, for example, then that's a big no-no as well, right? So or an undeclared bankruptcy, for example.
Oh,
So
yeah.
so so again, it's important to have that open line of communication with staff. A lot of my experience, a lot of the time, organizations will come to you and say, "We need this done today. We need this done cheaply," and I say to them, "Hold your horses.
Yeah.
We need to go through your processes. I need to understand what you do. I need to understand that you've got the systems in place. Be- oh no, it's so simple. Why are you making it complicated?
Yeah.
You know, and it always. I mean, again, unfortunately, it's usually with our own community we face that, right? So
Yeah.
I had an accountancy firm, and they've got 25, 30 employees, so
Mhm.
good team. But it's run like a desi operation. And so there may be employment contracts, but some people have employment contracts, other people don't. Some people are being paid different salaries to what's on the employment contract. There's a
Mm.
lot of overseas workers, so some people have right to work checks, other people don't have right to work checks.
Yeah.
So I said, listen, hold on a second. Oh, I can do this myself, and I can do this. I said, okay, well, you do realize, you don't have all of your employment contracts. You haven't carried out right to work check for this guy.
Mhm.
You've got a student working for you full time. This
Yeah.
You need to stop that. Um, and then when it took, you have to really fight and argue with them to do the right thing.
Mm.
Luckily, we did that because they had an audit.
Oh, wow.
They had an
Okay.
audit, and again, it's usually we're able to. I mean, I would usually say most desi businesses, no matter what industry you're in, will get
They
an
will be
audit.
like, mm.
They're going to get an audit. So it's just as unfortunate as it is,
Wow.
they will, right? And so this accountancy, even though they've got 25, 30 employees, multi-million pound turnover, you're going to get an audit. I'm telling you, you're going to get an audit,
Mm.
right? And so they had an audit. Luckily, they passed it, because they listened in the end and got these things in order. And so when they were asked these questions, they were able to show, yes, we have the pay slips. Yes, we have employment contracts. Yes, we have right to work checks. We
Mm.
have a formal list of absences. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, it's those are the kind of things I would suggest. I mean, it's not really practical it's not sometimes practical for small businesses
Small to care to.
to do all of this stuff, right?
Mm.
But as long as they're able to answer these questions, I think the biggest question from smaller businesses is you have, I don't know, one or two employees. Why do you want to hire somebody from overseas? What's the need?
Mm.
Okay. Can you afford to pay the salary, especially now moving forward? So with the changes coming up, I mean, we briefly the white paper and things, with the changes coming up, and it's going to be more difficult. We are going to see difficulty now. We've had that period of, everybody applying within the last 5 years,
Yeah.
and we are going to see tougher rules for a while. And then we'll see. I think then we'll see the curve again when the government's going to realize
So
things have died down. We need people here
yeah.
to get this thing going.